the United States Air Marshals. Obviously, they're not as important now, but in the 15 years following 9/11, they were huge. Really important part of air safety.
But that's when they put marshals on every flight, right?
Yeah, they literally had an armed guard on every flight because, God bless them, they believed that 9/11 was created by these chaps with box cutters flying commercial airliners into buildings. So it was if you believe that, what's the next thing to do? Well, terrorists are getting onto our flights and hijacking the planes. Better put a policeman there to shoot them or choke them unconscious or whatever it is.
Now, you tweeted recently, 666, I wish 9/11 happened again. Why are you trying to be all things to all people?
People don't wake up in the morning saying, oh, I want to go to Iran. It's a different life. So I'm naturally skeptical when I see what's going on in America and how divisive it is with issues that don't really exist. For example, remember when 9/11 first took place? I'm 6'4.5". I'm tall. I look like somebody that could be related to the folks who did what they did to the World Trade Center. And I remember during that time I would go meet
Grimes and punishment.
She is a goddess that was created by other goddesses to fight off a very evil demon named Rakta Bija. Rakta actually means blood. Bija, I don't know.
It's a festival of light, basically, and so we're trying to focus more so on, like, you don't want to spread darkness, aka COVID. You want to spread lightness, so light, and so you need to work with people around you.
Yeah, my research for the book Valpurgis Night, which I wrote, and in Valpurgis Night, one of the things I discovered was that interference within German daily life by Prussian aristocrats really is what led to the growth of the Third Reich. And the establishment as what it became, and even the Allies knew this, and that's why they dissolved the political entity of Prussia at the end of World War II and removed Frederick the Great's statue from Berlin. And this is important stuff, and I want you to listen to this, because this is not the first time that an individual like Klaus Schwab has shown up. I would wager and bet money that he comes from Prussian aristocracy, either not directly or he's from a bastard love child from them. It was designed to make children into robots. And this is why things like arithmetic and times tables were very central to it. Repetitive information, saying the same things over and over again.
At the bottom, here's the rice. You didn't burn it, or usually when human make it, rice is not as hard. At the bottom there will be a little burn. I don't see any burn. Pigeon. What about pigeon?
Three blind mice, see how they run. Even music was taught that way. Though a deer, a female, deer, everything was a lesson. And that's where that Germanic style of repetitive singing comes from, repeating the same phrase over and over again. Oh, it's like a spell more than an actual song. And times tables, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2, and then it's marching in your brain.
Sort of. Sometimes we have to do things we don't want to survive.
I really, honestly, I don't know. And I'm looking forward to knowing. But so far, we are friends. We fight a lot, but we are friends. And I don't know if we're going to become lovers. It looks like that we will, but I don't know, honestly, that way.
Kill Gates, oh my God. Imagine that, he's like the richest guy in the world, or one of them. I think he's the richest again now. Or maybe Bezos again, I don't know, they're neck and neck all the time. But being the richest guy in the world and coming up with a plan to like 10 or 100 times your wealth, so you can be like 10 times richer than anyone else on earth by scamming the whole world, by doing a huge fraud, by taking over, like, why? You must be possessed by something to put in all that work. He's like at 40 or 80 billion. He's like, I gotta get to 1 trillion. And then maybe I can get a decent looking wife or at least a woman.
But when can we expect humans on the moon again? And then...
Before we go do some updates on Mars. Turns out, besides underground caves and lava tubes, subglacial lakes might be another hiding place for life on the red planet.
Million deaths in the United States, as well as 20 million deaths around the world.
See how easy it is to...
Thus, the U.S. government's publicity machine was cranked into action to urge all America to protect itself against the swine flu menace.
Influenza is serious business. During major flu epidemics, millions of people are sick and thousands die. Well, this year you can get protection. The vaccines are safe, easy to take, and they can protect you against flu. So roll up your sleeve. Protect yourself.
Are there any kind of, let's say, mental hygienic things that if you were to advise people, okay, try and stick to this or whatever, something else than a mask and a hand sanitizer? I mean, what would you advise people to do?
I would say you're in prison, so treat it like a prison sentence. If you're a sensible person, I hope if you were given a prison sentence, you'd say, right, I'm going to get in shape. This is the time to get really fit. This is the time to take that master's degree I wanted to do, or write the book I wanted to write, or learn to speak Japanese, or to make a souffle, or whatever.
Or start that podcast that you always wanted to start, like I did.
So it's good for some things creatively. Yeah. Now's the time. Get on with it. You've got time. Meditate, do yoga, get outside as much as your communist totalitarian regime allows you to. Connect with your friends, read the books, get off Netflix. Try not to use Amazon and eBay. Try not to use Netflix. Try not to be glued, plugged into mainstream media and social media all day long. You will get depressed. You'll get fat. You'll get anxious. Get tough. Get strong. Get disciplined. You know, you should have a day that is scheduled like it would be in prison or like in the army. Keep it consistent. Go for it every day. Get your family on board. Don't let this fucking thing...
I'm a winner!
It's a tough moment in human history, for sure. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's tough.
I feel bad. I feel bad for people because I'm okay. I've got money. And I've got choice. I've got freedom.
Yeah, we're the lucky ones.
We're right.
Yeah.
We're right. But I know what this is like.
Yeah.
I know what this is like for people who've got their kids at home.
Yeah.
They've got a family. They've got no money. They don't know what's coming next.
Yeah.
And I feel bad.
These are the real victims. And this is what I keep saying, you know, and we talk about in my home is that, you know, we're floating on the top.
Yeah.
We don't have a fucking clue what's going on with people that actually need to go out there and provide and do stuff. And they have people depending on them, kids and stuff like that. It's horrible.
I was just imagining, like, you know, what I'm saying and some poor family. I was listening to something yesterday and they're saying a lot of people can't even afford internet. Never mind saying get off social media. They've not been on internet because it's a 30 quid a month expense that they now can't afford. And I'm saying, fucking hell, you know, get the kids out. Everybody goes to the park together. You go for a walk. You go home. You watch TV. What's next on the schedule? I don't know. Do some fucking push-ups or something. Oh, it's so tough. It's easy for me saying this from a middle class point of view, but I feel so bad for people who I know the torture that this must be for some people.
And what I don't like in this is that I feel that this voice or this group of people is being ignored, and we are taking, not just in this subject, but in some way, we're taking a Western, middle, higher class view on everything. Yeah. And it's unfair. Yeah. It's very selfish. Yeah. And it's entitlement. And that's, for me, it's narcissism.
Yeah. It's narcissism. Narcissism is the real virus here. Yeah. Narcissism is the major threat. All the politicians, all the decision makers, the people who are in the infrastructure, the doctors, the people making podcasts, you know, it's not us. It's not, but you know, the people who are making these decisions, it's like, I wish I could send them to some of the places from where I'm from and just make them live with a family and go, this is what you did. Yeah. Look at this. Yeah. Look at him.
The rationale for our recommendation was not on the basis of the death of a single individual, but it was on the basis that when we do see a change in the characteristics of the influenza virus, it is a massive public health problem in this country.
Dr. David Senser, then head of the CDC, the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta, is now in private industry. He devised the swine flu program, and he pushed it.
You began to give flu shots to the American people in October of '76.
October 1st.
By that time, how many cases of swine flu around the world had been reported?
There had been several reported, but none confirmed. There had been cases in Australia that were reported by the press, by the news media. There were cases in...
None confirmed. Did you ever uncover any other outbreaks of swine flu anywhere in the world?
No.
No, today is Veterans Day, a day to honor veterans and their sacrifice. And there's no better way to honor those veterans than by taking the quintessentially American action of speaking truth to power and exposing the very lies that so many veterans were sold by the state. Today, we should remember those who risked their lives for what they believed to be right and honor them by bringing to light the many different ways in which we have all been deceived by those who have gambled with the lives of generations of Americans for unjust reasons and immoral ambitions. Far too many have been conditioned from birth to blindly serve and to see anything else as an affront to what this country represents. Yet this nation has not represented what it claims to for a long time now, which is why I do what I do, to awaken those lost in all the lies to the reality that their loyalties have been hijacked by those who care nothing for the love we have of this country's core values. Whether or not they were ever truly practiced by the nation's founders, they've become real for us, real enough to fight for. Yet, not for those just speaking the oath, only 2 moments later sell out to the highest foreign bidder. And this slowly materializing mountain of government lies is why there is such forceful efforts to make holidays like today about glorifying the state and its war efforts, as opposed to those they tricked into carrying them out, despite that being the claim, and to make those of us saying anything less out to be deceivers and manipulators, truly accusing us of that which they are guilty. This is classic propaganda in the truest sense of the word. The saddest part is that so many have bought into this, and so much so that they don't even know their own country's history, and then turn around and call those of us still embracing the true values of this country the enemy, treasonous even. President Theodore Roosevelt summed it up best. He said, quote, "To announce that there must be no criticism of the president or that we must stand by the president, right or wrong, is not only unpatriotic and servile, but it is morally treasonable to the American people." Yet, that's exactly where we are right now. The same thing I always show you about the two-party illusion, that one person takes power and half of the people can see, or half of the people that are inside that paradigm can see that this guy is the worst guy ever, but the other half supports him wholly without seeing any of his faults. And it flip-flops back and forth. That's exactly where we are now. Complete blind support, which is in fact unpatriotic. And then, of course, we don't see the wars that continue and the chaos that continues because of that blind, servile, unpatriotic, blind support for whoever they put in power. So today, I ask all of those of you out there currently recoiling in disgust for my willingness to speak ill of this country on such a day. I want you to understand that first, I'm not speaking ill of this country. That's actually the deception. I love this country, the real country, its people, you. I'm speaking ill of those who have deceived the masses and actually use our love of this country, our country, the nation of, by, and for the people, to carry out imperialist wars of aggression in our name. I'm speaking ill of the government. And second, to take a step back and simply look at what such blind subservience to all those in power who arrogantly lie to maintain it has done, both in this country and to those around the world who dared to think for themselves. Now, especially on a day like today, we owe it to ourselves and to those who gave their lives for a cause that they likely realized in the process of pursuing was not what they were told it was. We owe it to them to speak truth to power and not blindly acquiesce to the jingoistic pressure of the brainwashed masses. It's not hard to do just a little research and see just how many veterans tell quite a different story about what we should be proud of and what we're actually doing overseas. It's also not difficult to see just how hard the establishment works to keep the message of these veterans suppressed, keeping them drugged up and in the shadows. As James Madison, our fourth president and author of our Constitution, wrote, quote, "Of all the enemies to public liberty, war is perhaps the most to be dreaded, because it comprises and develops the germ of every other. War is the parent of armies. From these proceed debts and taxes, and armies and debts and taxes are the known instruments for bringing the many under the domination of the few. In war, too, the discretionary power of the executive is extended. Its influence in dealing out offices, honors, and emoluments is multiplied, and all the means of seducing the minds are added to those of subduing the force of the people. No nation could preserve its freedom in the midst of continual warfare. James Madison. And of course, that includes continual warfare against itself.